There's a mass of new information from the Americas, specifically from the Americas, which completely rewrites the story of human history, that the Americas have been misrepresented for a very long time by archaeology. And archaeologists will be annoyed with me for saying that. They have a way of forgetting their own errors, of saying, oh, well, we knew that all along. It wasn't the case. But the fact of the matter remains that for the best part of 50 years, from the 1960s through until about 2010, American archaeology was locked in a dogma that they actually had a name for, which was clovis first. That they invented a name for a culture. They called them the clovis culture. We don't know what they called themselves. They were hunter-gatherers. They first appear in the archaeological record 13,400 years ago, and they vanish from the archaeological record 12,600 years ago. And for a very long time, it was maintained adamantly that these were the first Americans, that no human being touched the soil of the Americas until 13,400 years ago. Just animals, but no human beings present at all. And any archaeologist who attempted to dispute that dogma, and I use the word deliberately, there should be no room for dogma in science, but any archaeologist who challenged that would face severe problems with his or her career. They would be mocked and humiliated at conferences, like an archaeologist called Jacques Cinq-Mars from Canada, who excavated in the Yukon. Humiliated at conferences, insulted, accused of making stuff up. Their research funding would be withdrawn. Basically, to challenge Clovis first was the end of your archaeological career. So naturally, very few archaeologists wanted to challenge Clovis first.
What was this gentleman in the Yukon? What was his
He's
situation?
called Jacques Cinq-Mars.
Stopping it there, and welcome to Mika Reacts and Reviews, where we react and review to things on the internet. And today we have a different type of video. You know how it is on the channel. I like to change it up a little bit. And we are going to be reacting to a short section of a longer podcast. I believe his name is Graham Hancock. He is a scientist of sorts, and he's been on Joe Rogan before. He's written many books. He's very well respected in his field, but ridiculed by some. And the reason why I wanted to react to this video, because he talks about the dogma, the gatekeeping, the narrative that people in a scientific field try to create for their own pride in climbing up the hierarchy of like the social ladder when it comes to like the scientist world, right? Basically, the thing is that a lot of scientists get funding to do their research. And the way scientists usually get funding for doing their research is writing papers and kind of having these theories or experiments that proves where we come from and why things work the way they work, right? And a lot of scientists get a lot of rewards and accolades and a lot of respect in the scientific field. But if some other scientist in the field comes along and says, actually, I think your theory is wrong, and not only wrong, I think we've believed in something that was false for the last few decades, that scientist, like you said, is usually like scoffed and laughed at and ridiculed and canceled, and probably has his entire scientific career ruined. Because if the scientist who came up with this theory that has been sort of deemed God, or the Bible, basically saying this theory, like the Big Bang Theory, which I'm going to do a video on because it just came out recently, scientific discovery, that the Big Bang Theory is probably false. Watch out for that video. But if someone comes out with a theory that has been taught in schools for years and years, turns out to be wrong, then it makes the scientist who came up with that theory look bad, right? They might lose funding, they might lose respect, they might lose their footing in the scientific sort of hierarchy circles. However, for me, your job as a scientist is to welcome dissent. Your job as a scientist is to be scientist. Like if someone comes and says, hey, I have a new theory, this might be wrong, you're supposed to want to investigate. That is supposed to be your natural instinct as a scientist, is to investigate all and any theories, to investigate people who have a different idea than you, to welcome people to disagree with you. Because for theories to become fact, the scientific method is it needs to be experimented over and over again. It needs to have the same exact results multiple times. Multiple scientists in the scientific field is supposed to agree with it, and then that theory kind of becomes fact, right? So your job, so as scientists, you're supposed to welcome people to challenge your scientific theory. So to allow pride and financial gain to get in the way of scientific experimentations and theories and other scientists having a word or say on what's the cause and effects of things, that's scary to me, because science is supposed to be almost like biblical in the West, right? It's supposed to be, the word is kind of seen as a dogma to a lot of people. But anyway, I've been talking long enough. I just wanted to explain why I'm introducing this video to my channel. I think it's actually really interesting, and I'll just continue to let him talk, and I'll try not to stop anymore in this video. But please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop, links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. Other than that, sit back, relax, and continue to enjoy my video. And also excuse the ghetto ass headphones. I couldn't find the charger to my other one, so you just have to deal. Anyway, let's continue.
And interestingly, the Smithsonian, just in 2017, did a big kind of mea culpa, a big admission about this, that everybody had got things wrong, that Jacques Cinq-Mars had been ruined by the Clovis First lobby, but he'd been right all along. The site he excavated in the Yukon was re-excavated in 2017, and every single thing he said was correct, even though they had just sneered at him.
And what year was he?
He was excavating in the 1980s and the 1990s.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive. He's still alive, yeah.
Is he bitter?
Well, I think he's vindicated, you know, and it's kind of nice to be vindicated.
Yes.
That there's almost a place in folklore for the for the individual who is scorned and humiliated, you know, by others, but who turns out to be right, and he was right. But my point about this is that what it meant was, since it was the dogma that Clovis was first, that the oldest dates were 13,400 years ago, there seemed to be no logic to archaeologists in digging deeper. You know how it is with archaeology, that the upper levels are the youngest, and the deeper you go, the older it gets. That's why we say Upper Paleolithic for the late Ice Age and Lower Paleolithic for the late Stone Age and lower for the older Stone Age. And the feeling was no need to dig below the Clovis layer, because we already know that there were no human beings there before that. And then
Stopping it there, I have to stop it there, because you have to really dissect that. Because of the archaeologist scientific dogma of we figured it out, no one needs to question us, no one needs to dig any further, they literally stopped digging when it comes to archaeology. You know how unscientific that is? How many years of undiscovered shit that went past because nobody wanted to go against the fucking scientist archaeology narrative because they didn't want to be laughed out of their communities? How unscientific is it to stop investigating? What the fuck? Right? I love this shit, by the way. This stuff I watch in my spare time. But you have to really question that, right? This example, what other scientific fields is this relevant in? How many other scientists stopped investigating, stopped being scientists, stopped being curious or acquisitive, stopped running experiments on other new and discovered theories because they didn't want to go against the dogma. You know what I mean? This to me speaks volumes. They stopped digging. They only would go under a certain level because they just think, we figured it out. Humans haven't been here. There's no other civilization. This is how it is. And honestly, this changes a lot because there's been debates about how long people have been around. How old is the human race? How long have people been in America? What other, civilizations has been here? History teaches us. And if you stop digging, we don't know the history. How can we learn from it? I don't know. For me, this speaks volumes. To me, this is fucking interesting. It's not my most popular videos on my channel, but I love this shit. Anyway, let's continue.
A few archaeologists. I've mentioned Jacques Cinq-Mars, but another is Al Goodyear from the University of South Carolina, who excavated a site called Topper in South Carolina. Now, Topper is an incredibly rich Clovis site. It's full of their tools, their points. They made these special flint points that were used as arrowheads and spears. A great Clovis site. He finished excavating the Clovis level, and then he did something that was supposed not to be done. He decided to dig deeper. And he carried on digging down, and there was a layer of about 1.5 meters of barren soil, and then beneath that, more human artifacts. And they finally date those back to more than 50,000 years ago. And then in 2017, published in Nature by Tom Demaray, who's the chief paleontologist at the San Diego Natural History Museum, and a bunch of other very high-level paleontologists, published in Nature magazine, evidence for human presence in North America 130,000 years ago. Now, this has really put the cat amongst the pigeons. Now,
happening there? It went from 15,000 years. That was the dogma for the last 50 years, right? And then it went to 50,000 years, and now it's over 100,000 years. All of that history missed because of the scientists' gatekeeping. That's fucked up, and it is literally unscientific. That is not what scientists are supposed to do. You're supposed to be jumping and leaping at the idea that your theory might be wrong. But because that's how scientists get their funding, discovering and being right about things, scientists are literally scared of allowing other people to have a theory or an idea. Like, it's crazy. That's unscientific. And this shit, like, for me, like, I saw another video where they were talking about scientists gatekeeping environment in a scientific field and how a lot of shit goes unchallenged because people are just scared to speak out. That's crazy. That is detriment to like the human race because we rely on scientists.
Scientists are notoriously territorial, obstinate, reputations, egotistical. Yeah, their reputations are everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I see it every day. I see
humans.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's bad apples, right? Like a lot of people go into science, go into medicine because it's a career path.
Right.
Right? It's a career path for somebody wanting validation. It comes with prestige, it comes with money, it comes with all the things that like make sense that a person would want, right? But then ego gets in the way and it becomes really problematic. I mean, you see it in nutrition all the time.
The fact that other scientists would be literally having their careers destroyed in the name of trying to be an actual scientist will make me think that a lot of scientists will stay quiet or won't speak up because they want to preserve their fucking careers. So when you say stuff like 80-something% of scientists agree with the whole global warming thing, it's like, is it really 87%? Is it really 87%? How many of those scientists were coerced? How many of those scientists were scared to lose their careers? How many of those scientists were scared to lose their funding? How many of the scientists didn't want to go against the dogma? You know what I mean? That, to me, to find out how corrupt and again gatekeeping the scientific community is, it really, like, when you really think about it, it blows a lot of shit up. Because it's like, who the fuck can you actually trust? Anyway, let's continue.
If humans were present in North America 130,000 years ago, and archaeologists have been telling us for 50 years that they were only present from 13,000 years ago, that's 10 times as long that we've had humans in North America capable of doing stuff, and the archaeological dogma has prevented any search for what they were doing until very recently. So this sets the goalposts in a totally different place. Suddenly we have to consider that humans have been in America for 130,000 years. We already know that a dogmatic approach of archaeology has rather refused to look at anything older than 13,000 years ago. And what it does is it generates an engine of demand that we need to be looking at those missing 100,000 plus years. We need to be looking at it hard. Of course, the immediate reaction has not been to go looking for stuff in the other 100,000 years. Most archaeologists have responded by saying this is impossible. It can't be so. But that's precisely what they said to Jacques Cinq-Mars, who said that humans were in Bluefish Caves in the Yukon 25,000 years ago. And it's precisely what they said to Al Goodyear, who said humans had been at Topper 50,000 years ago. And they were both right. And I believe that Tom Demaray and his team, you don't get a big article published in Nature unless it's already pretty solidly based and pretty much peer reviews. It has produced a reaction. I would be wrong to say that it's universally accepted. It's very much challenged, but it's intriguing.
What is the challenge?
The challenge fundamentally comes from we archaeologists know that there were no human beings in the Americas that far back. To put it in perspective, it's about 60,000 years before the first evidence of human beings in Europe. It's about 60,000 years before the first evidence of human beings in Australia. The other thing that's changed a lot is the attitude of the man in the street to authority. That has changed. Back in the 90s, authority figures were the gatekeepers. They controlled everything. If an authority figure in a discipline like archaeology said, Hancock is completely wrong, he's made all this stuff up, that would generally be believed, not by everybody, but by the majority of people. Today, to have a mainstream authority figure say that to me is actually an advantage, because people are so distrustful of authority, and rightly so, because we've been lied to by authority figures in all fields for so long. The bullshit has been so enormous that people are finally waking up. But we can't trust what authority figures say. And
I think we can thank the internet for that.
We can thank the internet for that.
All right, guys, that was a smaller section from a larger podcast, which is a very interesting podcast, the entire thing. So if you want the link, I'll be happy to give it to you. But I don't know. I found that incredibly interesting, and I think more and more people are realizing that a lot of the authority figures that we were told as little kids that we should just trust and not question, that was the wrong narrative to teach generations. And I'm not saying that you should go around mistrusting every bit of information, statistics, or data that you hear, but I think it is good practice to have a layer of skepticism and just do your own research, or just be like, okay, I hear you, let me put that right there, and let me wait till I can find more information as I go on with my life to see if that is anything ever contradicts that. I also feel like in the last 2 years, I think a lot of people have started having doubts about the scientific community. And when people say, well, the science says, because we have been told one thing of the science saying one thing, and then a few months later, it's a completely different story. We've seen other people, other scientists, other biologists, other people that's experts in that field be shunned, shut down, cast out, canceled, pushed off of platforms like Dr. Moreau, who was basically the one who invented the spike protein, right? I'm not going to continue saying that sentence because I don't want to get blocked. But these people being shunned just like he's talking about right now. Scientists aren't being scientists and being inquisitive and welcoming other ideas and welcoming other experiments, because that is what science is supposed to be, then how are we supposed to trust the science? And archaeology is a form of science. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think of this video. If you find it interesting at all, let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below, and also in the comment section, hit the link, go subscribe to our travel vlog channel, and follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. Of course it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand merch shop, links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle, live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go in the description box below, and also in the comment section, hit the link, go subscribe to my travel vlog channel, and follow me on my travel Instagram, and I have all of my other YouTube channels, links down below. Go subscribe, go support, and you guys have an amazing day. Bye.